Hey, how's it going?
Hey there, Chance. How you doing, bud?
Not too bad. How about you?
Not a complaint in the world, man. It's Friday. I am not working this weekend. I'm going to one of my employees' weddings, so all's right with the universe. How about you? What's going on in your world?
Oh, not too much. Just kind of hanging out here.
Nice, nice. Well, in my continued efforts to put it on the record that my bourbon is tax deductible because I use it for business purposes, this is Joseph Magnus. I poured myself here to celebrate office hours. So, Ben, again, I'm putting it on the record. People come here to hear what bourbon I'm drinking. So, yeah, that's my way of trying to make my habits a little bit of a profit center.
Awesome.
Yeah, the advantages of being a real estate professional. So yeah, what's going on, Chance? What's going on in your world? Like what's your situation there?
Well, actually, I am currently in contract for my first property right now. I am looking at a
Congratulations.
duplex in Plainfield. We just did inspection this week. The appraisal is done today, so we'll hear back on that
What's
next
your
week.
strategy on it?
I'm on a house hack it, so I use the VA home
That's
loan to get
awesome.
in.
Oh,
So
Hey, first of all, thank you for your service. I appreciate that.
thank you. So yeah, I got in pretty low money down, and I bought it. It needs a lot of cosmetic work, so that's what I was looking for. Do some sweat equity into it.
Do
Get the
you
floors
are you a handy guy, or like is that the kind of
a
thing you
little
can do?
bit, figure it out. I got a lot of handy people in my life. My stepdad's he was a carpenter, and got a lot of handy people I can reference and figure things out through. So
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So what can I do to help you?
I was looking to like really network and trying to meet some people that are like minded, and
Yeah.
a lot of
Well, why
people in
don't
my
you tell me a
insurance
little bit
circle.
about yourself? Yeah. I would love to hear about kind of your story.
Yeah, well, real estate really interested me. I don't know, probably 3 or 4 years ago or so. I really picked up through someone named Graham Stephan on YouTube. He's
Yeah, I'm
a good
familiar.
guy. I was listening to his stuff, and then in the last 2 years, I found Bigger Pockets and been listening to podcasts and listening. But I was trying to get debt free, and I was married. Then I got divorced, and that kind of set me off, which that happened last year. So I became a truck driver. I was in sales originally, so I became a truck driver. Lived in my truck, got rid of my rent, sold my car. Last year, I cleared 25,000 in debt in like 9 months.
Whoa.
So then that was in September this year. Still lived in my truck, swapped to being home every week instead of over the road. And I've saved up about, well, I've spent a lot now, but at the time when I started, I got up to like about 14,000 in capital. And
Oh,
then decided, I want to jump on this real estate thing. I've been talking about it. And I listened to a lot of podcasts that were all talking about action and taking action and going towards your dreams, and
yeah.
decided
So
just
what
to
are
do
your
it.
dreams?
I'd like to, obviously, real estate's a big thing. I'd like to have enough passive income to live a comfortable life for myself, and, you know, get away from the 9 to 5 and get away from the doing things I don't like to do, live a life that I want to live. I really enjoy
Yeah.
like jujitsu, music, really passionate in real estate. I just, I don't
Are you
know.
passionate about real estate, or are you passionate about what real estate can do for you? And again, there's no judgment there. I'm not passionate about real estate itself. I'm passionate about it being probably the most powerful wealth driver that there is out there.
I like both. I mean, I love what it can do, and looking at houses, I get excited. Like, oh, we can fix this thing or fix that, and you know where properties are at. I mean, it's exciting. It's all exciting, and obviously,
Yeah.
it's a really powerful tool to try to build wealth. Uh, I like the people that are in it. Like everyone I've talked to or listened to is that's involved in it.
Everyone's just good people, huh?
Yeah, it's a lot of like-minded, successful, driven. It really takes a special person to get into this kind of world. No matter what path you take, everyone's
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, and I'm excited. Can you tell me a little bit more about this house hack? Have you done any like analysis, anything like that? Would love to talk through it with you.
yeah. I
Hey,
did.
Ed.
I
Hello.
signed up for the.
Hmm?
Hey, how's it going?
What were you saying, Chance?
I signed up for the Bigger Pockets Pro, so I was able to use their analyze deals function and
Yeah, are you willing to talk through it? I think it's always interesting and to get a second set of eyes. There's somebody else who's investing.
Sure. Let me see. I could actually probably pull the actual analysis I did.
Awesome. You ready for the weekend, Ed? Things calming down on your end?
Yeah, I'm always ready for the weekend.
Yeah. You doing anything fun?
One of my friend's daughter is getting baptized. We're going
Oh.
over to the church. I'll take some pictures.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So are you the photographer?
Not officially, but I happen to
I've
be.
seen your work though, man. Your work is awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So are you under contract on that second house right now?
Yes.
That's awesome, man. Congrats. When's the inspection?
It's been ordered. I'm not sure which date.
Okay.
But this one's
Dude.
less rush because we don't have like 20 days close.
Oh no.
So
is it like a normal 30
it's
day
a
close
normal,
kind of
it's a
thing?
normal 30 day. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. So just to catch you up to speed, Chance here right here, he's buying a duplex. He's actually going to be living in one half and
wow.
renting out the other half. So do the house hacks strategy, which I'm a huge fan of. I think it's one of the single best wealth drivers that you can do in real estate if you can talk your significant other into it. Thankfully for him, he doesn't have to talk anybody into it. So he gets to go be rich.
Nice.
I pulled up the analysis. I'm not sure how I can share it with you guys.
So there's a little button at the bottom called share screen. Do you see that?
I've never used Zoom. Let me figure this thing out. Give me one sec. Share desktop. There we go.
Nice.
All right. You guys see what's going on here?
Yeah, I do. All right. So negative $83, but let's talk through what that actually means. So that 1,800, is that just the one side, or is that if you were to rent out both sides?
This will be for the total unit, but when I was doing, I had a little bit of speculation where the units are very, very outdated. So, it's built in the 50s, so the interior is not very nice per se. So a little sweat equity. I think I can up those rents a little bit.
Yeah.
They're also renting for about 700. The other side's rented right now for 700 currently, which is, I feel like, pretty low. I think that could come up to speed.
Okay, so the 1,800 is both sides combined if you were to rent out both sides.
Yeah, it's a little speculation, but I think.
Okay, so have you ever heard of the tool called Rentometer?
Yes.
Okay, did you use that by chance in this analysis, or?
I did, but we were looking at the comps, so the comps were a little bit lower than what I was looking with Rentometer.
Okay.
I kind of tried to split the difference a little bit.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think I get those rents up though. It's kind of what I was speculating, and doing $0 down. I was looking for something that was pretty close to break even because I'm doing.
So are both sides currently rented, or is one side vacant, or what's the situation there?
Yeah, one side is vacant and the other side's rented to March. So it gives me some time to get in, renovate the side I'm living in currently. And then when March comes around, we could go from there and see what happens at that point. But it gives me a little less to worry about getting into it. Met the tenant.
Are you willing to scroll down a little bit? I would love to see a little bit more of the report. All right, so rental income of 1,800, purchase price of 210. So very close to the 1% rule. I like it. I'm going to be honest with you, man. I don't think your vacancy accrual is probably conservative enough. I think you probably want to bounce that one up a little bit, particularly in duplexes. Duplexes tend to have a little bit higher vacancy than single families.
Okay.
So I would probably bump that up to 4 to 5%, most likely. I'd say 5% is a more realistic number. Yeah, there you go. The management fees of 10%. Are you going to self-manage?
Yeah, but I put that in there because I don't want to.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, eventually you're going to want to. So yeah, I like that approach. All right, let's scroll down a little bit more. Where are the repairs? I don't see repairs on there. Did I miss it?
I think it's under maintenance/repairs.
Oh, maintenance and CapEx. Okay, what did you have that percentage at?
Let me see. These are go here. Expenses. Maintenance and repair. I put it up.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you, especially in a home that's already in a little bit of disrepair. You're probably going to need to up that number a little bit. I would say you're probably sitting at like 7% repairs and 7% capital expenditures. If I were running this myself, that's how I would run it.
Okay.
Personally.
I actually do.
But actually, so let's
found-
kind of are you doing any type of initial investment in it?
Yes, I'm gonna get in and start fixing things, at least on my side right away.
Is that calculated here into this report?
No, I wasn't sure to add that into the.
All right. So let's update the analysis. Let's go take a look back and see what it's going to look like on the back end.
Okay.
But then I do want to do a little back of the envelope math as well.
Okay. Where'd you wanna look at on
Let's go back to the analysis overall now that you've updated it a little bit. All right, so negative 145. Heck, that's not bad, especially because this is on the back end if rents don't increase at all during that period,
Right.
which seems kind of unlikely because you have the 10% management fee in here, which is plus $180. So in the grand scheme of things, you're actually coming out pretty darn well here in this particular situation. Out of curiosity, what are you paying in rent right now?
Actually, I just kind of crash. I'm a truck driver, so I'm home just periodically. So I've been crashing with friends and family until I get into this house. Right now, I'm staying with my dad at the moment. So once I get
Gotcha.
this will be the
Gotcha.
first time I have my own place in about 2 years.
I like this deal as a house hack opportunity. You're coming in with very little money out of pocket. I think it's a really good option for somebody who's looking to do this. It's almost a 1% deal. How's the neighborhood?
It's perfect. It's all single family homes. It's no HOA. It looks like a very established, like older neighborhood. So
Nice.
super
Nice.
quiet, super nice. The neighbors all seem nice. I mean, yeah, it's
Fantastic.
perfect.
And have you done the inspection already?
Yep, the inspection came back. Nothing major. The really good bones, no foundation issues. A lot of small things like the soffit's kind of rotted that needs replaced.
Yeah.
Someone repaired.
It's not unusual for a 50 or 70-year-old house. Man, you know what's funny? I hear the 50s and I think that that's 50 years ago. My brain has not adjusted to the fact that it's in the 20s. So fantastic, man. Congratulations. This is really, really awesome.
Yeah, so we got the appraisal, which it's a VA appraisal. So, I mean, they say those could go sideways, but, hopefully it comes in pretty good. I offered 5,000 over asking to try to be aggressive and get into it because they had an offer on the table and they wouldn't give us an indication of what they had on the table already. So
yeah, there's always the advantage of withholding information, but I'll tell you, 5,000 over asking. This is that's certainly better than what I know. I think Ed's offered a little bit more than that in some situations. I know I have too. So that's not bad at all.
But even at that, it still made sense. A little speculation in to make it kind of make sense, but
so the speculation is the rent rate, and that's something I would probably reach out to a couple of property managers in the region and ask that question about how much they think it would rent for, potentially the agent as well, to really get a zoned in appraisal there. And I would give the information about the current condition of the property and the fact that it's renting out for $700 a month. Did you say?
Yep, 7 on the other side. So
yeah, so a $200 gap, that's a big gap. Let's be honest about that. That's a 30% gap there from what you're saying the market is. So I would just really want to make sure that that's accurate. But overall, man, it looks like a really interesting deal, really good one.
Yeah, I'm excited. So I think it's a perfect first deal. It's exactly what I wanted, what I was looking for. So we'll see next week how the appraisal goes, and hopefully I'll be closing. Right now it's set for June 15th. So getting right to work. So
that's awesome, man. Congrats.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah. So what's going on with you, Pascal? You have any deals you want to run by us? We can go do some deal analysis right here.
I don't have any deals. I want to get started with your mentoring, with your course. I think you have something starting for the spring, summer, but I don't know what date it starts. Every time I go there, just ask me what date do I want?
Oh yeah. So the asking about the dates, that's about essentially trying to figure out what day of the week we're going to do our group calls and our one-on-one calls. And so, yeah, we're going to start in that 3rd to 4th week in June. I'm going to be honest with you guys. next Friday is my last open office hours for a couple weeks because my wife and I are going to Italy. And so we're disconnecting for a bit, and then we're going to kick off the third cohort. Ed is actually one of the students from one of the initial two cohorts, and is absolutely crushing it. I would say he's one of, and I'm not going to put where in line you are because this is dangerous, but one of the top 5 students there in the class. He's gotten a couple of houses under contract, and so
Nice.
yeah, we're looking to start there in like that week. I think of June 19th or so is generally when we're looking to get started.
Okay, I'm looking forward to getting started so I can be like your other students then, because I want to be crushing it too. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've got about 14 or 15, and they're just absolutely, everybody's in different stages, but there are a couple of students who really took the bull by the horns and have gone and really gotten ahead, I would say, of everybody else. And I would consider Ed in that group. And I think so that you guys know, I have these office hours every week, these open office hours, but I have a special one just for my students as well, where about half the time I'll bring on different service providers to come on and talk a little bit about construction, property management, being an agent. We just had an appraiser actually come on. That was a really great conversation where he talked about how he actually does appraisals. So stuff like that it's harder to justify in an open environment, but we have for the people in the course that I think is pretty darn cool. Remind me again where you're located?
I'm in Chicago.
Okay, so right down the road.
Yeah, about 2 hours down the road.
Yeah. So why Indianapolis over Illinois?
You said that it's better to invest in a red state than it is to invest in a blue state because it's harder to get, I guess, people out of their homes, or if they don't, make their payments, whatever. So yeah. I kind of follow some of the stuff that you said in BiggerPockets and just wanted to, I don't know, there's something about you that just makes me feel comfortable. So I feel like I need to follow your course so that I can actually start crushing it like everybody else. So.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I try and just be genuine. I try and tell everybody, I want to be very clear. It's hard. I make a lot of mistakes. I'm far and away not the smartest person or the best investor that exists out there. What I am is I'm willing to be transparent about all the mistakes I've made and hopefully help you guys avoid making those same ones. Because I've made my 6-figure mistakes, and no need for you guys to do the same thing.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, once you, if you do have any trouble, let me know. Would love to get you in that course. I think we've got 3 of the 6 we're looking to fill up, I think, already in that one. So yeah, if you have any trouble, don't hesitate to reach out. And if you have any deals you want to analyze, obviously the open office hours are here. I just try and do that to answer any questions. It's a little quiet today. I'm surprised.
Yeah, I only saw 6 people. There were a lot more last time, but no, for me, it's really good. Just kind of jump on and hear what you have to say and see what others are saying.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
So here's one thing. I'm just going to go off on a rant here with everybody here so that you guys can all get a little freebie rant. The construction piece is really, really hard. And accountability in construction is really, really difficult to get. And I'll tell you, a lot of people look at a scope of work, and I've been guilty of this. I want to be very clear. A lot of people look at a scope of work and they see line items that are costs, and they're really bad at comparing them to other scopes of work with similar line items. And what I'm quickly learning is just the difference in a $33,000 scope by one person and a $40,000 scope by somebody else that have the exact same line items. You're not going to get the same product on the back end. And it's something that's been really difficult for me. So one of the things I've done over the last 6 weeks or so is I've brought a contractor on staff myself to not actually be a hammer, like a guy that actually goes out and hammers and does the contracting. But oh good, RC was able to make it in. Trying to let him in. That doesn't actually do the contracting himself. He doesn't do the hammering himself. But what he's doing is he's essentially just going around to all of our different contractors and trying to make sure that the same line item equals the same thing at every single house. And unfortunately, that hasn't been the case. And accountability and quality has been a huge problem for me. So my piece of advice to everybody here as they're thinking about it is make sure to get referrals and make sure that you see examples of prior work. Because while one person might charge you, $4 a square foot, $5 a square foot for new drywall, and one person might charge you $4 a square foot, you want to make sure that you're comparing apples to apples. An example that I've seen actually legitimately is I saw one quote that was way higher, but what I found out is that included new trim and paint, and the other quote didn't. And so it was if they're not really going into the details, you want to make sure you understand and make sure that person's not going to nickel and dime you on the back end. Like I said, I work with probably 6 or 7 different contractors, and I see a huge variety in quality across all of them. And so that's one of the things I'm curious to hear if you guys have any thoughts. One of the things I was thinking about doing, I don't even care about making money on it personally, but I think I probably push all the profits back towards the project manager, but essentially have that project manager just sit there and be a quality control across a variety of different contractors, and essentially just make sure that everybody's giving you the exact same product. Because I know it's been super valuable for me, and a lot of people out of state are going to be unhappy if they ever see their the product of some of their projects. That was my rant of the day.
How do you get uniformity? If you have a project manager sitting in one place and then you're doing deals in different places, when
you say different places, are you talking about different major metros, or are you talking about different houses?
Different. Well, I mean, it could be different cities, different state. I mean, just different period. Like, how do you get that uniformity view from your project manager to be able to know that, what contractor A is doing is basically meets the same quality as contractor B or C or D?
Yeah, it's going to take training. You're going to have to train those individuals. And that's the hard part. That's the hard part, is you're going to have to train people about what your standard of quality is and hold them accountable to it. And at the end of the day, I know nothing about construction, guys. I am not like this thing is, I swear to God, I straighten it every single day, and every day it is a little bit less straight. I have no idea how this happens, but I know nothing. So I have to rely on people that are smarter than me. So if I was going to do that, I would have my project manager go and train my project manager in the new market and have conversations and share videos. And then I would probably walk both and try and get an understanding of both. And then be able to help set and align expectations. But they're easy things. Like if it's on the scope of work, I expect it to be done when I've paid for it. If I pay for new flooring, I don't want it to go like this and be wavy. Have any of you guys ever walked on wavy LVP, where it's just it sinks under your feet? It's terrible. It's a terrible experience, and it's going to crack in no time. So making sure that your contractors and your property or your project managers know that is super, super important, and that it's done right the first time. Like the worst thing you can do is tear up your walls and see that there's plumbing issues and then just cover up those plumbing issues. You're going to have to tear down those walls again. So you might as well just deal with it the first time. So it's not always going to be the cleanest for your 100% burr or whatever you're looking to accomplish, but it means that you're going to significantly lower your costs long term. I'm a huge advocate of doing it right the first time, even if it costs a little bit more. And always get a mainline inspection. So Ed, I know I talked this one to you. Always get that mainline inspection. One of my main lines collapsed today.
You mean like on the sewer line?
Yeah. $7,000.
Wow.
It happens. It happens. It's built into the P&L. It's when you have enough properties, it's built in there, but it still sucks. Always get a mainline inspection. Chase, you got a mainline, or Chance, pardon me, you got a mainline inspection, right?
I'm actually not too sure.
All right.
What do you mean by main line? Is that like what? Do you
They essentially put a camera between the house and the sewer just to make sure that line isn't broken. That's a very expensive fix.
to have him look into that? Yeah, I don't think he looked into that at all.
Pay the $125 and go get that done before you close.
Perfect. Yep.
If you can't afford that $125, you can't afford the deal. But it is going to be the best $125 you spend.
Perfect.
Yeah.
On the
Let's go.
contracting side of things.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips for finding good quality, like handyman or people to handle like small fixes and things? Like, is that just through networking and referrals, or?
Yeah, it's all referrals. I would hit up your contract or your agent to see if they use anybody in particular, because a lot of times before close, a couple of things need to get fixed. And so working with your agent will oftentimes know a bunch of people who like help get them across the finish line. I'd say that's a really good place to start.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. RC, buddy, what's going on?
Hi, how are you doing?
Dude, it's Friday.
I'm sorry I was late. I'm actually in traffic here driving, so I was supposed to
Oh,
be
dude, you're
stationed.
not late. You're right on time. Yeah, so what's going on, buddy?
Nothing much. Pascal invited me. I'm trying to gain information on
Okay.
real estate, trying to build a portfolio. So I'm actually new to this.
That's awesome. Are you and Pascal friends, or what's the relationship there?
Yes, just friends.
That's awesome. So do you own any properties currently?
Currently own one in Atlanta.
Oh, look at you.
It was actually a primary, and then it became it wasn't. I did not initially start it off as investment.
Okay.
It was a primary home that became an investment after.
How's it doing for you?
It's just doing okay.
All right.
Just okay.
What does that mean?
It's paying off itself basically.
He's got really nice people living in there. They pay consistently. He doesn't want to raise the rent because they're so consistent and they're so good. So like, just tell him the truth.
Yes, I'm afraid of kicking him out and raising the rent, and I get stuck going to court with new tenants.
I get that. But so I'm going to challenge your thinking a little bit. Okay. So I don't want you to think I'm challenging like you or insulting you by any means. Okay. I'm just going to try and challenge your thinking a little bit. Why are you subsidizing their housing?
Why am I subsidizing their housing?
Yeah. You might as well be the government doing Section 8 right now. You're subsidizing somebody to live in your home.
That's true. I do have a management company that's managing them, and they're kicking me in the butt for not raising it. But again,
Yeah.
they've been in there for 5 years. I'm sorry if you guys don't hear me. I'm
No, you're
going through
good,
a
man.
tunnel right now.
You sound great.
They've been in there about 7 years. And during COVID, they did not miss one payment, although they had several issues where they lost their employment and all. So I'm just
That's
afraid
awesome.
of getting somebody new for higher money, and then I'm having issues with this market right now.
So how under market do you think you are on that property?
They're paying 15 and I could get 25 for it.
Ooh, that's a big gap, man.
It
So
is.
out of curiosity, would you notice if you got a $12,000 raise?
Of course I would.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not saying you crank it up to 2,500, but I actually, another question for you. Have your property taxes changed at all over the last couple of years?
Just about $200.
So it's not that you're even neutral, you're negative $200 by not raising rents, right?
I'm negative. No, I have them cover everything, including the taxes.
So they're paying taxes?
Yes, I was able to, well, the management company was able to boost them up a little bit
Okay.
but it's
Gotcha.
nothing much. Because
Gotcha.
technically they started at 12. I got them to 15, which include the taxes. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So it sounds like they're getting
Oh,
a
you're
great deal, man.
muted, Nick.
Oh, am I muted? Can you not hear me?
I hear you now.
Oh, weird. Ed, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you too.
Oh, weird. I think Ed's the only one who can't hear me. All right, good. So it's not. Yeah, I didn't adjust anything. So man, here's my perspective on it. Sounds like you picked a great property, but you're not a very good landlord. And that, again, that's no offense to you whatsoever. I'm not good at it either. That's why I hire somebody else to do it for me. Because hell, man, I do not want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with the calls. Yeah, absolutely. RC, is that your name? Is your name RC?
My name is Rodney. I'm sorry.
Rodney. No, you're good. I just I wanted to refer to you properly. Rodney, do you what's your family situation?
Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. There's about to be some noise.
You're all good.
Currently living in New York.
Yeah.
Actually renting.
Cheap place to live.
Yeah, actually renting. Sounds crazy.
No.
And family situation is okay for now.
Yeah, but you've got a wife, you've got kids.
Yes, one daughter.
Okay. So my argument that I would make for you is you are 100% missing out on $12,000 a year of income, with the fear of potentially missing out on 1,500, right? So what do you think the chances are if you raised, let's say you raised the rent in the next opportunity $300 or $400? What do you think that the chances are that they would move out?
They will.
Okay. So if they move out, then you can go and fix it up a little bit and make it worth $2,500 a month.
I can leave it as is and it's still worth 25, but yes, I would get new carpet. And that's basically it, because it was a brand new construction at the time.
Oh my
But,
gosh, that's awesome. So what do you think the chances are of getting a tenant that doesn't pay rent if you do raise it up to $2,500 a month?
50-50, to be honest, because right now they'll probably pay until
50-50. So
probably
I
for
would
the next-
argue that somebody who's willing to pay $2,500 a month has something a little more to lose. That's been my experience. The people that are my cheapest tenants tend to be the ones who don't have anything to lose, whereas the people who are on the higher end actually have a credit score, actually have a job.
Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. You're fine, man. So I actually find that the higher the rent, the more likely people are to pay rent. That's been my experience.
Okay.
That it's N equals 1, and it's Indianapolis. It's not Atlanta. So I want to be very clear. So it's not, not apples to apples. But if you truly believe that there's a 50-50 chance that you have to evict somebody, then you should keep those tenants. If you think that there's less than a 10% chance you have to evict tenants, which I'll be honest, less than 10% of my tenants I have to evict, which is fantastic. Less than 10% chance, then I mean, this makes total sense. And Ed knows I try not to do public math. So there's a risk equation to be done here about expected return. And your expected return is much, much higher if you think that there's a lower chance of them defaulting on that rent and you can go get $2,500 a month.
To be honest, I'm just afraid of the home sitting for 3-4 months without a tenant. That's my only fear.
Okay. How many months does it take to make up for that? So let's think about it. So if you leave it at $1,500 a month and then you go vacant versus going vacant for 3 months and then getting your $2,500, that $1,500, what takes 3-4 months to pay itself back based on raising the rent?
I see what you're saying.
It's all a math equation. And I know there's emotions tied to it, especially because you lived there. Are you ever planning on moving back into that house?
No.
So this is an investment. This is a pure investment that you are underutilizing based on projected future returns. Now, I totally get why there's emotion tied to it. There's a lot of emotion tied to any real estate that you happen to live in. I know I rented out a house I used to live in. I still do, actually, now that I think about it. And there's tons of emotion tied to those homes. I want to tear down one of the houses I used to live in and build a new house there. My wife won't let me do it because she's so attached to it. So I totally hear you there, but I would just run the numbers. Actually run the numbers on projected return. I'll tell you, my
Okay.
vacancy rate, my projected vacancy rate is somewhere between 4 and 5%. And that is financial vacancy included. So people not paying rent. So I would just do a 10-year analysis of keeping the people at 1,500 versus people, putting the $2,500 a month people in there and see what that plays out. Because I mean, fundamentally, man, and this, I'm gonna switch the emotions from the house to your family. You are robbing your daughter of an extra $1,000 a month in her college fund by not
You're
raising
right.
your rent.
Or even increasing his portfolio because he just has
Yeah.
the one property, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you're totally right. Yeah, totally right. And again, I was just trying to make it personal, like make it emotional, tying it to the college fund. But yeah,
Mhm.
you're totally right that there's a huge opportunity cost to not having, like, Ed knows me. When I go do a burr analysis, if I'm not getting 3 digits return on my money year one, I'm unhappy. And so you're not just passing up that extra $1,000 a month, $12,000 a year. You're passing up the reinvestable capital there. It's a huge opportunity cost. And so I don't want, Rodney, I hope you don't feel like I'm picking on you here. I think this is a really good, really good thing to think about and talk through, because these are hard decisions and these are lives. And I think a lot of people just look at it on a spreadsheet. And I love the fact that you're looking at it as like, these are people. But I do think you are fundamentally, because you have a block due to fear of your loss aversion, I would say, that you're missing out on huge upside.
Appreciate it, Nick. That's why I'm here.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, if you have any more questions, don't hesitate. I'm going to pass it off to Prasant here, because I saw that I apologize. I'm bad with just like heteronormative American names. So I apologize.
Starting the video.
There you go. All right. That was my pure giveaway. Actually, hold on. In today's society, I'm not going to assume anything. Prasant, him?
Yes.
All right. Perfect. All right. I've made that mistake before, and I don't feel like putting my foot in my mouth. So what's going on, bud?
Nothing much. So I joined last week also on the office hours. Just wanted to join in again and see where the discussions are going. I did have one question. So I think I talked last time about me doing some off-market lead generation for purchasing on my own, like, trying to identify deals. So I ended up marketing incorrectly to some of the areas in Indiana where that is far off from Indianapolis. And I ended up finding a pretty good deal in South Bend, which is 2 hours north of Indianapolis. So I'm just wanted to check with you if you have any contacts there that could help.
Dude, I'll
me
buy
out.
it. If it's a good deal, I'll buy it.
Yeah. So the thing is, I do not have any contacts there. So I wanted to check if you do buy there. Like I'm just.
I haven't,
like,
but I will.
Okay. So then
No, I've got some contacts up there, and what I'm gonna do if I do buy this house is I'm painting it Trojan colored, just to really screw with everybody there. As a USC grad, I want to I want to really mess with the people.
Okay, so I'm curious because you told about the Bloomington deal that you were doing. So when you go into branch out into these far off areas, like, do you build a team in all of these individual markets? It seems like a lot of work. Like, just by building a team in Indianapolis was like crazy amount of work. So how do you approach it? Like, if it's a new market, like a new area where you don't have any contacts, like.
So Bloomington's a little different because my agent and my property manager are willing to manage down there. Since it's only an hour and a half. I'll tell you, you might be able to get somebody for Fort Wayne, depending on the deal, if it's worthwhile to manage it. I would just hit up those people and say, hey, I got this deal in Fort Wayne. I know that's not your specialty. Like, one, are you willing to tackle it? Or two, do you know somebody down there who I can contact? A lot of times what will happen is agents will refer one another. There will be sister branches, things like that you can go hit up. And then generally speaking, what we say is that the agent's your MVP to start with, and then you find your property managers who's your MVP long-term. And so generally, you use that agent to find another agent who can then help you build up that team.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, that's my approach. By the way, I heard somebody from one of my coaching programs reached out to you to learn more about direct to consumer sales or direct to consumer marketing.
Yeah. He told me he's in your program and he works at the same place where you worked.
I do not work anywhere. So
yeah, where you work.
I work here.
Right. So yeah, the guy based in New York. I did refer him to some resources.
Awesome. Hey, thank you for that. I appreciate that. And for anybody who's not aware, Prasant here, he does incredible direct to seller marketing. He has grown a portfolio of, I think, 6 or 7 units, you said, over the last couple of years?
Around 12, yeah.
12, okay, man, I was 100% off, or 50% off, depending on how you math. So totally, that's awesome. That's really awesome. Does anyone have any questions? Anything they want to talk about? Anything they want to get me upset and rant about?
That's something I was had a question about, actually.
Yeah, go for it.
When you're dealing with cash flow and things, there's nothing I really see when I'm doing my research. Is it like one of those things where, like, obviously we put those expenses in like CapEx and maintenance, but those still technically go in our pockets unless obviously you got to pay for those things. So is there like a certain number you set? Like, you're like, all right, I need $10,000, and once I hit $10,000,
Funny, I was about to say $10,000. $10,000 solves just about any problem that you're going to have in the property, unless the house starts falling down.
Right. So it's one of those things where you pile the 10,000, you're like, okay, I got that. Now let's say I'm cash flowing 500, not including those expenses. You just pay that to yourself until there's a potential issue, and then you replenish the 10,000, let's say, per unit, and then
that's a fair way of doing it. I mean, everything wears out in that house over time. Like, that roof is wearing out every single day. It's sitting there under the sun. It is wearing out every single day that you use that water heater. It is wearing out every single day that you use every appliance in that house. It's wearing out. The walls are wearing out. The paint is wearing out. The flooring is wearing out. Every piece of that house is depreciating. That's why the government gives you 128.5 or 127.5. I'm going to screw 26.5. One of those depreciation on an annual basis is because they fundamentally understand that the sticks and stones that make up your house are breaking every single day. And so you need to, I would recommend put that aside. Keep just putting a little bit aside every single month for repairs. Even when that $10,000 is sitting there, I put together a little bit more, because that $210,000 house that you bought, now 150 of that is the house, and 70,000 or 60,000, oh God, bad at math, is the land. So $150,000 of that house is falling apart. And so you need to be ready over time, over the course of 100 years, over the course of 50 years, of replacing that full $150,000. Every piece of that house is going to need to be replaced eventually.
right.
So just be constantly building that up. I would actually, if you're not at a certain scale where you're essentially getting the economies of large numbers, I would probably recommend just having a completely separate account that is the oh shit account. Because let me tell you, especially on a home, you said it was built in the 50s.
Yep.
The number of oh shits that you're going to have is pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be it's going to surprise you, just the number of oh shits. Like, my wife and I, we moved into our first house, and it was a 1970s house. Sounds about right. And everything went wrong as soon as we moved in. So I would just be ready for it. And now, granted, you've done an inspection. Hopefully you have a contractor buddy or two who can take a second look at it to validate your thought process. But yeah, that would be my thought process.
Yeah, I'm pretty fortunate in, like, the HVAC was built, they replaced it in 2020. It's like brand new, and like the water heater looks brand new. the electrical's all
Hmm.
updated. A lot of the things seem good. I know there's gonna be little things here and there, obviously, but looks like a lot of the main things seem to be pretty good.
That's
work.
great.
So
That's what you like to see, man. That's what you like to
a
see.
lot of cosmetic stuff, but the bones really
The cosmetic is cheap. The bones are expensive, especially when they go wrong. Because let me tell you, like replacing a water heater, it's like $800. It's not the end of the world. Replacing a busted pipe in the walls, like that's an expensive proposition.
right.
Awesome. Ed, I think I saw you come off mute too.
Yes, always have a question.
Yeah.
So right now I'm trying to connect with contractors and decide, well, who would make a good member of the team. And I realized that there are different types of contractors. Like there's some that are more like the project manager and they'll find other contractors, and some that are the actual contractor. I'm just trying to understand what are the different types. When should I use one type of contractor versus another?
Great question. And I'll be honest with you, this is something I'm still figuring out as I go. So I don't have a final answer for you, but I have a halfway developed answer. Is that fair?
Sounds good.
All right. So when you're talking about the guys that are like the project managers, generally speaking, the guys that work underneath them aren't actually contractors. What they are laborers. And a lot of it depends on how much time they're going to spend on the project. If they're just a guy that's going to put together a scope of work, send a bunch of tweakers out to the project, and maybe check on it at the end, that's probably not your guy no matter what. Unfortunately, those are the guys that tend to get really popular here within these out-of-state investors groups. And I don't want to paint with a too broad a brush, but that is something that I tend to see. It's because they scale and they have to just go and get like 1 million people come to them, and they have to go build a bunch of different teams. That's probably not your person. Then there are the guys that have 4 or 5 crews underneath them that they just bounce around from project to project. Those are great for rentals. And I would say B-class rentals and below. And they can handle bigger projects, especially if they've got all the right teams in place, if they've got subcontractors that they can go out to for the big stuff, like the electrical, the plumbing, stuff like that's needed. Because here's the dirty secret: a contractor isn't a contractor. Just because they're a contractor doesn't mean they can do electrical, doesn't mean they can do plumbing. And so you want to make sure that they have the right contacts. Then there's that next level who tend to actually do the best work. Transparently, is it the contractors that are actually hands-on contractors and have a team underneath them, that one team that they work with. Those guys do the best work. They tend to be slow. They tend to be the most expensive, but goddamn does it look good when it's all done. And so those are the guys that I would send in for an A-class property. Those are the guys that generally have relationships with subs that can go do the electrical. They can do most of those guys generally don't do exteriors. They'll have guys that will do exteriors, guys that'll do roofs. These are the guys though that when they get into your kitchen, these are the guys that your wife walks into that kitchen when it's all said and done and her jaw hits the ground. That fundamentally is and I'm speaking with a couple of individuals in mind when I'm saying this. So that's when you would use that kind of person. I'm trying to find ways to use those people more in my rentals by taking out a lot of the hard parts or the low value parts. So for me, one of the things I'm trying to do is I've got a couple of those guys that do A-class work that I don't want to pay A-class rates to do demolition, because anybody can do demo. So I'm trying to find internally create demo crews or use demo crews, get through cheaply, and then put the A-class crews through my projects to really do it upright. And yeah, it might be a little bit more expensive for the actual finishes, but that place is going to be freaking bulletproof, and they're going to stand by their work. A lot of these guys that use the multiple different crews don't tend to stand by their work nearly as much because they don't have the hands-on pride of that project.
I like that answer. It gives me more questions to ask.
Yeah, go for it, dude.
Well, I mean, how do you identify what type of contractor they are?
I think you can ask the question: are you a hands-on contractor, or do you outsource it to crews? And you're getting ahead of our coursework a little bit. You're, I think, a week or two ahead. But no, it's good. And you have to be asking these questions because you're under contract. Are you a hands-on contractor? Or are you handing it off to crews? I think that's a really fair question. Do you have examples of properties in this asset class that you can point to? Do you have clients you've worked with in this asset class who are willing to talk to your quality of work? How often are you going to be at the project? How many projects are you managing right now? And I think that's an important question. If they tell you they're managing 10 projects, that tells you they're not a hands-on contractor. Now, my hands-on contractor I'm working with is across 3 projects, and he subs out different parts of the work, but then he comes back and he is hands-on on his projects. So I don't want you to hear like they can only be handling 1 project at a time, but they're not handling 10. They're handling, like, it's a one hand that they're handling at any given point in time, probably just a couple of fingers. And I just had lunch with one of the better ones here in Indianapolis. So remind me, what kind of project are you working on right now?
Oh, me?
Yeah. And for
Well-
everybody else here that's listening.
Well, right now I have a property under contract that's in A class. It's in Carmel.
Mm.
And hopefully the inspection report comes up good and there's no big work needed. It looks move-in ready. Looks like the tenants took good care of it. This will be property number 2 in this neighborhood that I'm trying to get. The first one, major things wrong, and we had to walk away from it.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. I mean, that's pretty great. If it doesn't sound like you need anything to move in, that'd be fantastic. You could even just have your property manager send the like the rent ready crew through. A lot of times all they do is clean. They'll do clean up any walls. If there are any holes in the walls, they might patch some holes in the wall, things like that. The very simple stuff. And that might just get away from you ever having to do any real hiring of a contractor for that particular project.
yeah. But I really do want to do a bigger project. So there are a
I
couple
know you
that
do.
I want to make an offer on, and I want to be prepared.
No, those are really good questions. And I'll be honest with you, I really struggled with those kind of guys that were the project managers across 10 plus projects until I brought a project manager on board. I highly recommend having a check and a balance there. It's been the biggest change to my quality of life, is having that person that is not incented to get the project paid out quickly. They're just incented to get it paid right. And then have your contractor who wants to do it as cheaply and affordably as humanly possible, and have the 2 of them battle it out. And then you get to just benefit from the work that comes from that. That has been the biggest change in the last 6 years of how I've approached things. Is to add that extra team member. Unfortunately, sounds like Prasant. I'm just looking at a lot of nods over there. Is generally, are you agreeing with me over there, Prasant?
Yes, I do. Some investors have told me the way they do this is if the work requires pulling permits and stuff like that, that's when they involve like a GC versus go to subcontractors. But going to subcontractors obviously is more work because now you're coordinating things, but generally tends to save a little bit money. But otherwise, I'm also like using like a project manager to coordinate things, makes life much easier. Especially when it comes to timing like different jobs, because one needs to be done after the other, and that so.
But then,
Gotcha. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
For your first, would you already want to bring on that project manager?
Is the question for me?
Anybody who.
Right. I didn't, because I didn't know about it at that point. So I was just using a GC, but I had my property manager manage the GC. So I had someone overseeing things on top of a GC, not directly me.
Okay.
And the one time I did it directly, I got screwed over and I'm on a lawsuit.
Yeah, I mean, fundamentally, man, I do recommend it. And now that I've been through it a couple times, I would say that it's actually probably more valuable the first time than it is any other time, because you don't know what you don't know at that point. And so I fundamentally still understand. I don't know jack about construction. When I hear Chance is about to go do a bunch of work on the house himself, I'm like, oh, you're a goddamn rock star, because I couldn't do that. But I know nothing about construction. So I go and I bring people on board who know a lot about construction to go make sure that the construction's done properly and not cutting corners. And I'll send those contractors back a million times to get it done the correct way. So I would actually say that the first time when you know the least is probably the most valuable time.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll be honest with you guys, my project manager is not cheap. No, granted, I have him across 14 projects right now that he's managing. So obviously not a cheap member of the team, but it doesn't need to be overly expensive. And in a lot of cases, if your property manager is willing to do it, your property manager can do that on your behalf. And you can pay your property manager to take that piece. Yeah, that was a great question though, man. All right, we got time for like one more here before my wife comes and kicks me off the computer and makes me go hang out with her. All right, well, if you guys are too shy. All right, question for the weekend then. What is going to be the alcoholic beverage everyone drinks? I'm going to go around, I'm going to call on you. What is everyone drinking this weekend? Chance.
Water.
That is boring, but I like it. It's healthy. Ed, what are you drinking this weekend?
Grapefruit juice.
God, healthy again. Prasanth.
No alcohol. Anything.
Oh my God, you guys are making me feel like I have a problem. Let's go.
I don't like drinking alone, so I won't be drinking.
Well, hey, that means you got to bring a drink to next Fridays, okay?
Okay, that sounds
All
good.
right, done. All right, Rodney, what are you drinking?
Casamigos.
Oh, there we go. All right, we got one. That's a Clooney's drink, right?
It's a tequila, yes.
Yeah, I think it's Clooney's tequila, though, right?
Clooney's, yeah.
Yeah, I like it. All right, my mom loves that one. She calls it George every time she drinks it. Margie, I know that you're better behaved than the rest of us, but are you drinking anything special this weekend? You're muted. She's tired of me, man. She's tired. She's ignoring me now. It's the end of the week. I've been sending her, asking her to do comps all week. Oh, Margie, there you go. Mute's off. What are you drinking this weekend?
No, just a water, sir.
All right, fair enough. Well, then I'm going to put it here on the recording one last time. I'm wishing Lazille a happy wedding. I'm driving up there tomorrow, 6 hours to go to her wedding, but super stoked to celebrate with her and the rest of her family. So if anybody happens to have some way of contacting Lazille or putting out like positive wishes her way here, we're really excited for her. So have a good weekend, everybody. And I will talk to you all soon, okay?
Thank
Bye.
you very much.